Hello everyone. The topic that I would like to take up today is the topic that has been in the news for a lot of reasons throughout the country, the Agnipath scheme. Some people are of the opinion that the scheme is an absolute game changer and will survive the fortunes of India in the coming years. On the other hand, people opposite to this scheme have been counting the problems that the scheme has right now. In my today's talk, my endeavor will be to bring towards you all the important aspects of this scheme. On 14 June 2022, the Defence Minister of India and the Chiefs of Indian Army, Navy and Air Force announced the rollout the Agnipath scheme. This is a recruitment model for the youth in the Indian Armed Forces. Let me tell you what exactly is this Agnipath scheme from the government standpoint, why it is important and necessary for India from the citizen standpoint, and what made to trigger the protest all across the country. First, let's try to understand what this scheme is all about. This scheme is specifically for the non-officer personnel, that is Jawans. The people who will be enrolled under the scheme, the soldiers, will be given the name the Agniveers. They will be recruited in the Indian Army, Navy and Air Force for the duration of 4 years, 4 years which include training for 6 months and 3.5 years of actual service in their respective forces. Government is expecting to recruit around 46,000 youths who are in the age group of 17.5 years to 21 years. Their salary will range from 30,000 rupees to 40,000 rupees. In the first year, the Agniveer will get 30,000 rupees, 21,000 as in cash in hand, and 9,000 rupees will be deposited in their service fund. Every month, the government contributes equal, that is 9,000 rupees for each of these Agniveers in that account. Over a period of 4 years, Agniveer's contribution is about 5.2 lakh rupees and government would also have to invest 5.2 lakh rupees. That means at the end of the 4-year period, Agniveer would get 10.4 lakh rupees plus the interest on that. Now the thing is, after 4 years, Agniveer will get an option if they want to get it converted into a permanent job till retirement. They can apply for permanent commission. Government said that up to 25% of Agniveers will be absorbed under the permanent commission who shall serve for 15 more years. However, here's the catch. In fact, this is what the people are protesting about. I'll elaborate people's protest a little later. First, let me tell you government standpoint on the scheme. From conference which was held by the Defence Minister, he said specifically that the main objective behind the scheme is to make armed forces leaner and to reduce the defence bill. You will find that the scheme which was introduced in the year 2014 called One Rank One Pension, suddenly from the next year onwards, the money spent on pensions drastically increased by 15,000 crores and capital outlay dropped substantially, that is about 5,700 crores. The gap between pension and outlay has also stayed narrow. From 2016 to 2022, the spending on defense pensions was more than modernizing the army, and this is what is being viewed very seriously by the government. And this is the reason why army wants to decrease its burden on pensions and wants to channelize the money towards developing and modernizing army with latest weapons, vehicles, equipments, etc. Apart from this, Agnipath would reduce the average age of army from 32 years to 26 years over the due course of time. Now let's understand why people are protesting. Some people are of the opinion that we will train so many people in armed forces. They will be taught armed combat. And after this, as I said earlier, 75% of the people will be let go. Then what if these graduates join extremist groups? What if they become mercenaries? Now, mercenaries are basically those people who fight in other countries for money. One example of this is Shabek Singh. He was a commissioned Indian officer who had trained the Bangladeshi soldiers in 1971. And just one day before his retirement, he was dismissed from his service. Do you know what he did next? In 1984, he trained several Khalistani soldiers to teach a lesson to the Indian army. Now, there's a counter argument to this as well. Only a few of the millions of people may become antisocial. But is there any evidence that many people would become criminals after the training? There is no conclusive evidence for this. One of the biggest questions people have is the people who are not absorbed by the armed forces. What happens to the 75% of the people who are not hired after 4 years? Now, the very first misunderstanding or perhaps unknowingly made assumption is that the armed forces only teach you to hold a gun and make you do exercises because that is what the Bollywood taught us, right? But friends, reality is that armed forces actually teach you way beyond that. First of all, it inculcates discipline, mannerism, chivalry, persistence, and most importantly, the ability to perform during adversities. All of which are very important in every single industry in the 21st century. The attributes and skills learned in the armed forces are not useless and will be more than enough to help the candidates fetch competitive roles in the industry. In fact, this is the reason why leaders like Anand Mahindra and Tata Sons chairperson Mr. Chandrasekharan have already recognized the potential of Agniveers and have welcomed the move to employ them once they are out of armed forces. Secondly, the Minister of Home Affairs has announced a 10% reservation for Agniveers in the Central Armed Police Forces or Assam Rifles. Friends, raising concerns is valid, but spreading lies or inciting people to violence is absolutely wrong, and strict action should be taken against such people. I would like to say that don't look at this scheme as half glass empty when it is half full. Now it's completely up to you to decide whether this is a good, bad, revolutionary, or disastrous. Do let me know in the comment section below what you think about the scheme. Thank you.